welcome to Veteach. Today we are going to discuss about the subject digital communication. So what are the topics in digital communication? In digital communication, first we know that what is pulse digital modulation. In pulse digital modulation, the topics are elements in digital communication system, what are the advantages of digital communication system, what is pulse code modulation, what are the parameters in pulse code modulation, what is sampling, what is quantization, what is coding. After pulse code modulation, what is the difference between pulse code modulation and differential pulse code modulation? What is delta modulation? Why we go for delta modulation instead of pulse code modulation and differential pulse code modulation? These are the topics in pulse digital modulation. Coming to communication system. What is communication system? Transmitting of data or transmitting of information from one place to another is nothing but communication system. Here the original information may be in terms of image, maybe in terms of audio, maybe in terms of text, or maybe in terms of video. We can communicate the information from one place to another place with a system which is nothing but communication system. Here the elements of communication system itself consists of information source, input transducer, transmitter, channel, receiver, noise, destination. Destination is nothing but the endpoint. Information source. Information source may be if the information itself consists of code, speech, signal, whatever it may be the original content, simply it can be represented like that. It is nothing but information source. Coming to input transducer. Transducer convert one kind of energy into another. That is, basically we are producing the signal in terms of mechanical energy. That is nothing but the acoustic signal. It can be converted into electrical while it is transmitting. Again, in the receiver section, the electrical signal can be converted into mechanical energy. The functionality of the transducer is it can convert one kind of energy or one form of energy into another representation. Coming to transmitter. The transmitter itself consists the concept of modulation. The process which is done in the transmitter is simply said to be the modulation. If we are using analog communication system or analog transmitter, there are different types of analog modulations. If we are using digital transmission, there are different types of digital modulation methods. Coming to modulation. Modulation is nothing but the main functionality of the modulation is it can convert a low frequency into high frequency. Originally, the baseband signal it consists of the frequency only 0 to 5 kilohertz. It cannot propagate at long distance due to attenuation. To overcome that, to transmit the low frequency to certain long distance, we introduced a concept which is nothing but the modulation done by the modulator in the transmitter. So, transmitter transmit the information from one place to another. The basic functionality of the transmitter is simply said to be the modulation. Second, what is channel? Channel is a connecting path between the transmitter and receiver. If we are using wire as a channel, then the type of communication is said to be wire communication. If we are using antenna at the transmitting end, antenna at the receiving end, then the type of communication is said to be the wireless communication system. Channel means medium which travels, which carries the information. The channels provide physical connection between the transmitter and the receiver. During the process of transmission and the reception, the signal may be distorted. The signal may be affected due to different kinds of parameters. The concept is said to be the noise. Noise is an unwanted signal which is added, which is affected the original information. Coming to the receiver, in the transmitter section, we are already discussed about the concept of modulation. Modulation adds two kinds of signals. One is nothing but the message signal. Second one is said to be the carrier signal. Carrier signal simply it is a high frequency. It does not contain any kind of information. So in the receiver process, we can eliminate the carrier or we can extract the message signal from the modulated signal. The basic functionality of the receiver, it reproduces the message signal, that is elimination of the carrier, because in the receiver section we generally want the original information. So the basic process what happens in the receiver is demodulation. Demodulation is nothing but elimination of the carrier from the modulated or extraction of the message signal from the modulated. Coming to the destination, destination is nothing but the final endpoint. Generally in terms of communication system, destination may be telephone or destination may be speakers, whatever it may be the endpoint which is the original signal may be presented. Here In radio broadcasting, the destination is loudspeaker, which works as transducer. Already we discussed in terms of input transducer. Here in destination, it is a transducer. It can convert electrical energy into acoustic signal. That is nothing but the mechanical energy. That is the elements of, what are the elements in communication system. What is the model of digital communication system? Here the model of digital communication system consists the entire process, how the original information source itself consists, how the analog data to be converted into digital, that is the concept behind the source encoder, how the data to be encoded, the concept behind the channel encoder, then how the modulation process will take place, the concept behind the transmitter, what are the different kinds of noises affected in the channel. In the receiver section itself consists of how the encoded data to be converted into original data, how the original data to be converted into analog signal. Finally, the data is placed in the destination. Here, this is the basic digital communication block diagram. The block diagram itself consists of a discrete information source, which is nothing but the original data. Data may be in terms of analog or data may be in terms of digital. If the original data in terms of analog need not to be converted into digital. If the data may be in terms of analog, it may be converted into digital. If the data may be in terms of digital, need not to be converted. Basically, always the original data is in terms of analog. Coming to the source encoder, encoder converts analog signal into digital, maybe in terms of 3 bits, maybe in terms of 4, maybe in terms of 8, maybe in terms of it depends upon the size of the analog signal. Coming to channel encoder. In terms of channel encoder, these are the different kinds of methods which are nothing but linear convolution codes or cyclic codes, which is used for the security purpose. So basically, what is the basic difference between analog and digital is, in terms of analog, there is no security because coding is not possible. But in terms of digital, the one of the best advantage is here the security is available because of different types of codings are available. So if the transmitter itself knows, if the sender or itself knows what is the coding, if the receiver itself knows what is the decoding process. So here the data always secure. The process of coding may be done by the channel encoder. Coming to the modulator, here the digital modulation, there are different kinds of modulations. Basically, with respect to the carrier signal, the modulation will take place. In terms of digital communication system, the best thing is phase shift keying or differential phase shift keying or quadrature phase shift keying. That is the process of the transmitter. Coming to the electrical communication channel, whatever it may be the data, the communication channel always in terms of analog. Always the information which is transmitted in the channel is always analog. So here we are using the channel in terms of electrical communication channel. Coming to the receiver section, vice versa, what happens in the transmitter? Exactly opposite section, demodulator, which converts the electrical signal into different kinds of representation. Channel decoder, analog digital data may be in terms of analog. Source encoder, analog may be in terms of acoustic signal. Finally, the data may be placed in destination. So how this process will take place, how analog data to be converted into digital, that is the process behind the depth in terms of the another concept. So this is the basic digital communication system block diagram. The basic system block diagram consists of information source, source encoder, channel encoder, transmitter, electrical signal channel, electrical communication channel. In the receiver section itself consists of demodulator, channel decoder, source decoder, destination. Transmitter, receiver, channel acts as a connecting path between the transmitter and receiver. Here the data transmitted in the form of digital, the data received in the form of digital. So here the name itself, digital communication, will take place. So how analog data to be converted into digital? That is the important concept in terms of digital communication. How the analog data to be converted into digital? Simple, pulse code modulation. Analog data to be into digital, again in the receiver section, digital data to be converted into analog. In digital communication, we are discussing about the source decoder. So the basic process in the source encoder is said to be the pulse code modulation, as well as the basic concept in the source decoder also pulse code modulation. So pulse code modulation is used to convert analog data into digital, again digital data into analog. So what is the basic functionality? What is the block diagram of pulse code modulation? How analog data to be converted into digital? How digital data to be converted into analog? The basic PCM system itself consists of a sampling circuit, a quantizer, a encoder. Thank you.